We want to be comfortable. We want to be safe. We want to be, sanitized. But friends, that's not how it works. It's agony and ecstasy. It's wonder and radical amazement, right? It's not just about my self-development. It's not just about where I am, right? There's only one question we ever have to answer. What does reality need from me at the next moment? God, big yes. Here we go. Here's the code. We're born awake and we fall asleep, right? We're born awake and we fall asleep, right? This is the intention of cosmos. It's not a mistake that we fall away, and we never actually fall away, but we experience ourselves as falling asleep. The purpose of reality is to wake up. It's not enough to wake up. I got to wake up, and wake up means an expanded state of consciousness, right? So a state is like a drunken state. It comes, it's there, and then it's gone. Or a psychedelic state, right? Or a state of rage, or a mystical state. A state is a realization, a focused realization, where I'm completely inside something and I experience it fully, and then it's gone. So in a wake-up state, I actually realize my true nature and the true nature of reality. But that's not enough, right? A wake-up state won't take you home. And we say in the code, right, neither waking up nor feminine values, which everyone says we need more feminine values. Feminine values will get you nowhere. Just like waking up will get you nowhere, just like God will get you nowhere. Because waking up is insufficient. Your state of waking up has to be mediated through the prism of growing up. That's what we're going to talk about today, right? And it's a very, very deep idea that was core to the interior sciences of Hebrew wisdom. It's a core notion that you can have a prophetic experience, right? You're completely blown open, but your experience of being blown open to the true nature of reality is mediated through a prism of your psychological maturity, right? Through a prism of your socio-cultural experience. And we now understand even more deeply, right, through the prism of your level of consciousness, okay? That's a big deal, right? So let's say you could have feminine values, right, but you have a low level of consciousness. So you are a mother who raises her children to fight for the Taliban. Like, wow. You could be a mother who raises your children to join Hitler Youth. And you've got these feminine values, right? You're nurturing, you're caring, you're empathetic, right? But your caring, your nurture, your empathy is at an ethnocentric level. It's us, them. It's we're inside, they're outside, and you're contributing to evil. So you don't need feminine values. It's not about God, right? It's not about waking up. It's about at what level of consciousness, or let's call it what level of growing up, right? At what level of growing up does your wake up happen? At what level of growing up do you experience God? At what level of growing up do you experience feminine values? Okay, now stay close, okay? I want to tell you something wild. And this is, there's two conversations. One that I had last night, which was a really important conversation I had last night with someone who's just enormously precious to me, right? As a human being, a dear, dear close friend. And I had another conversation a few days ago with another person who's just close to me in a different way, a different relationship, a fantastic human being who I love dearly, right? And it was actually that the first, the second one I just described was a Holy of Holies session. And with his permission, I'm gonna share a little bit about what we talked about, and I'm gonna actually reflect on this conversation I had last night, okay? And I want to do it in the following context. So it's gonna be funny, but it's wildly important and wildly beautiful. But let's start with funny, okay? So last week, someone wrote me and said, wow, wise Krista, and this week it was Barbara Marks Hubbard, talking about people, let's pour resources and funds and become a member right into one mountain, right? I come here for like this deep transmission, spirituality, love. Why are we asking for money? Right? Why are we asking people to become members? Right? That's right, such a turnoff. Like, so I got an email like that, and I get one every once in a while. So this is really important. So let's go deep together. We got to go really deep together. And you saw how beautifully Barbara Marx Hubbard, together with Krista, invited people to become members this week, just so gorgeously. But I want to find this, okay? So let's play. Who's ready to play? Because we got to go really deep, because we can't make this revolution. We can't be at this time between worlds and time between stories and participate in the evolution of the source code, which is the evolution of culture and consciousness, without understanding this mystery of we got to wake up. My wake up is mediated through the prism of my grow up, and only then can I show up as my unique self, as we wrote in the code, and participate in the Unique Self Symphony. So I want to talk specifically about this email I got, about this Holy of Holies I had, where a very dear, close person said, like, what should I do next? Right? You know, am I done? Right? What's my next step? Right? What do I need? And then my conversation last night. Okay? So I want to ask you a funny question. Okay? Ready? Ready to play? Let's play. Who's ready to play? Let's just totally play together. Okay? Let's just totally play together. Okay? Here we go. Okay? Let's play it. So I have a friend who is a minister of a Catholic church in Harlem, right? A parish in Harlem. And, you know, my friend is, just between us, not a really good minister, right? So he got fired, and then, you know, they hired someone else and wasn't such a good minister. And this is about 20 years ago, and they've hired someone else. And the leadership just really actually wasn't great. And there were all sorts of financial challenges, but people kept supporting the parish. And I loved the parish. I used to go there 20 years ago, and I actually asked, right, beloved Christina, who's in New York now, to go by and see the parish in Harlem. And, you know, she told me yesterday, there it is, thriving. Right? This parish is thriving. So let me ask you a question. Why is that parish thriving? Why are people supporting this Catholic parish, you know, where with lousy ministers, I mean, nice people, but lousy ministers, bad leadership, and yet it keeps going on, and someone new comes, and they pick it up, and they pick up the baton. Why is that happening? Okay, so stay close with me, okay? Now, in the New Age world, we're afraid of words like devotion, sacrifice, commitment, loyalty, sincerity, right? Loyalty, sincerity, devotion, sacrifice, those are scary words. Those are words that have to do with them. We're free, autonomous, right? Independent. Which is why the New Age world doesn't actually, in the human potential world, doesn't actually create structures of radical commitment that stay in and that build and that have the capacity to evolve the source code of culture and consciousness. Because people at that level of consciousness where kind of human potential and New Age lives, right, are somewhat narcissistically absorbed in their own journey. This is my hero's journey. This is my story. And how does this serve me right now? And how is this addressing my needs right now? Now, those are all important. Those are important emergent levels of consciousness. Those are all really good questions. But they're dissociated from a larger field. And they don't actually make space for devotion and for loyalty and for God, right? And for sacrifice and for commitment. Now, but stay close. But none of those words, those are all wake-up words. I wake up to this experience of devotion. I wake up to this experience of loyalty as a core structure of cosmos. I wake up to an experience of reverence, right? I wake up, right? And I feel my sincerity. All those experiences, all those qualities, right? All those qualities, those states that I can be in, right? All of those are mediated through a level of consciousness, okay? So there's no such thing as devotion. There's no such thing as feminine values. There's no such thing as God. There's no such thing as commitment. There's no such thing as sacrifice. There's no such thing as reverence. There's no such thing as loyalty. There's loyalty at a particular level of consciousness. There's love. There's no such thing as love. There's love at a particular level of consciousness. Right? There's devotion at a particular level of consciousness. So let's walk through this, okay? And this is what my friend and I talked about a couple of days ago, and it's really crazy beautiful. Okay? So let's take Clare Graves. Clare Graves is a colleague of Abraham Maslow, and he's one of the really important developmentalists. His student, Don Beck, who's a friend of mine and a wonderful human being. I'm honored to have Don as a friend. Right? And, Don actually took Clare Graves' work and created a contemporary system called spiral dynamics, which is a quite well-known system. My dear friend Ken Wilber actually popularized the system. But I'm going to go back to Clare Graves, right, who talks about his system as a biophysical cultural system. And he talks about 6 levels, kind of from Graves level 1 all the way to Graves level 6. So we're going to do this thing really wild now for a second, okay? We're going to do like all 6 Grave levels, right? Tom, you and I did this for the first time in a different way 10 years ago in 2010, right? I remember, Christina, when we did this together, right? It's like wild, right? This is core, right, to the unique self work of the Unique Self Institute that Claire's working on. It's core to, right, to everything that's happening. But I'm going to run through this, but in a really beautiful way, and we're going to see why this matters. It matters completely. It changes everything. Okay, so Graves level 1. And later they attached, Chris Cowan, Don Beck, students of Clare Graves, they attached colors to these levels. So I'm going to use their colors, okay? So Graves level 1 is beige. Let's make this up spontaneously, okay? Not spiral dynamics, right? Clare Graves, right? I'm doing, right, spiral dynamics. Graves level 1. Graves level 1 is beige. And let's assign a movie to each one, just for the heck of it. We'll make it up as we go. The clan of the cave bears. So it's a very small clan. Your goal is survival. Of course, there's spirit and there's dimensions of religion and there's value, but it's a very closed, insular circle, right? And the major goal, right, is survival, right? There's a more limited sense of time, right? Because we're actually concerned with survival, and that's our focus. And that's kind of the first level, right? And so there's depth, there's nuance, right? There's lots of beauty, but the fundamental thrust is the survival of the clan, right? And it's a very, very small clan, right? It's 150 people or less, right? Usually less than what's called the Dunbar number. Right, Robin Dunbar, the British anthropologist, right? It's less than 150. So it's close, it's intimate, it's focused on survival, right? It's completely related to the immediate experience of people with each other, right? Everyone knows each other, right? Values, ethics are completely immediate in their interpersonal nature, okay? That's beige. Clan of the Cave Bears. Next level up, purple. Graves level 2. Purple is tribal, right? Tribe is much bigger than the Dunbar number. You're connected to the tribe through bloodlines, right? Do you have the right blood or do you not have the right blood? If you have the right blood, you're in, right? There's a lot of magic and ritual and shamanism, right? And perhaps prayer, right? And the goal is the tribe. It's a local goal. The tribe is not universal. The tribe is from that mountain, right, to, that river. The shaman is responsible in a way that he received perhaps from his father for that area. We propitiate the gods, right, to help us. The values are the values of the tribe. Loyalty to the tribe is paramount, right? And knowing the magical arts, right, that actually bring about healing and victory, right, is essential. Right? That's the tribe, right? And at the level of tribe, we begin to move from hunter-gatherer, right? Hunter-gatherer is more beige, right? But then we move gradually from hunter-gatherer, right, into tribal. Now hunter-gatherers are also tribe, but tribe then also allows for farming. And the tribe farms, right? The tribe moves into agriculture. The tribe gets a larger sense of time. And that's purple. That's purple. Now, stay close. Stay close. After purple, we get to red. And red is straight power, right? Thrasymachus in Plato's Republic, right? Might makes right, right? It's the drive for power. It's not just about the tribe. It's not just about loyalty to the tribe. It's not just about the survival in the clan, right? But it's actually the value of power itself. It's this drive to power. Attila the Hun is not just about the Huns, he's about power. And it's this raw power drive, right, that actually moves in cosmos underneath lots of other disguises. So you've moved from purple to red, which is this conquest, right, in power. And then you get to, that's Graves level 3. Then you get to Graves level 4. And Graves level 4 is blue, right? Blue, right? Stay close, blue. And blue is mythic membership, the Catholic Church, the Holy Roman Empire. This is a whole new level of consciousness in which it's not about the bloodlines of the tribe. It's not about the loyalty to the 150 people at Graves level 1 at beige. It's not purple, right, which is loyalty to the tribe and the bloodlines. It's not red, which is the power drive, right? It's actually blue, which is we're all part of a same system. We're part of the Holy Roman Empire. We're part of the Christian Church. We're part of a universal Islam, and anyone can join. You don't have to be from that particular bloodline. You can join. If you adopt those principles, you can join, right? And there's a desire to conquer the world, but for the sake of not just power, not red, but actually to spread these ideas. Alexander the Great wants to spread Hellenism right throughout the world. And you can become a Hellenist. You can join. So there's the capacity to join. There's the beginning of universal principles, but those universal principles are held and only understood and only interpreted by this empire, right? By this church. Now, if you don't join, you're damned to hell, right? If you don't join the Holy Roman Empire, you're a barbarian and you can be slaughtered. But there's the possibility of joining. There's a movement towards essential principles, right, from bloodline. It's the emergence of, right, the empire, right, the world religions. That's blue. And that goes, pretty much through the Renaissance, right, all the way till the Western Enlightenment. And, beginning in the Renaissance, moving to the Western Enlightenment, right, we merge into Graves level 5, which is orange, that's the color, which is already about the individual, the separate self. The separate self has value independent of the clan, beige, Graves level 1, of the tribe, right, Graves level 2, purple, right, independent of the mythic membership, blue, right, the individual per se has rights. It's the beginning of universal human rights. It's the beginning of, achievement and meritocracy, independent of any empire, independent of any tribe, and independent of any organized religion. You have rights per se. And actually, we begin to extrapolate from all of the information we have in cosmos to universal principles that are not mediated through a particular kingdom or through a particular empire or a particular tribe, right? That is rational, that is achievement, right? That is the Western Enlightenment, okay? Graves level 5. But the weakness of the Western Enlightenment was that actually this sense of universal human rights left women out and left the gay community out and left LGBT out and left Native communities out. And this notion of universal human rights pretty much applied to British men who owned land, right? So it actually left a lot of people outside of the circle. So we went then from Graves level 5, orange, to Graves level 6, green, which is multicultural, pluralistic, right? Honoring the indigenous, honoring the native, right? Sensitive, right, to the hidden victims, deeply sensitive to the hidden power motives that are disguised in the narratives of orange and the narratives of blue, right? Right, the earlier levels, right, blue and orange, right, they have stories, but those stories are often hiding actually red, raw power drives, right? So we become aware of those power drives. So green, postmodern, right? Think certain communities in Holland and certain communities in Boulder, Colorado, or San Francisco, or, parts of England, right? In other words, it's a universal consciousness, green, right? Multicultural, pluralistic, right? Values are relative. They're a point of view, but they're beautiful and everyone's got to be included in them. That's Graves level 6, and it's where most of the liberal community lives today. Now, all of those are second tier. Excuse me. All of those are first tier. Excuse me. All of those are called first tier. And first tier means, now it gets really important. First tier means that you live predominantly at one of those places or even two of them. A person can be both blue and orange, right? Both part of mythic membership. Deep Catholic, completely committed, and orange, also a rational achiever. But I live at one or two of those levels of consciousness, and that's where I interpret the world from. Now, stay close. At blue, classical Catholic, for example, or Jewish or French patriot, I'm completely committed to take care of my church. And if I'm a good Catholic in Harlem, right, at a blue level of consciousness, right, I understand that I've got a commitment, I've got an obligation, I've got a responsibility to perpetuate the church. That's obvious, right? And if I'm a patriot, right, at let's say the orange level, right, I'm German or I'm French or I'm English, even though I'm not part of the church, I'm part of this nationality, but I'm committed to that nationality, right? Because I know I've got to perpetuate and I've got to go to war for it. Even though I'm a citizen of the world, I'm also a citizen of my country, and I'm committed to that, and that's a real commitment. Now, those commitments can be beautiful, but if the religion is corrupt, right, then those commitments can be corrupted. And if the nationality, right, is corrupt, then those commitments can be corrupted. So loyalty appears, devotion appears, right? My experience of God appears in a particular way at Graves level 1 when I'm in a clan. It appears in a new way: loyalty, devotion, sincerity, God, right? My experience of self, all those appear in a completely different way if I'm part of a tribe. Then they appear in a different way if I'm part of an empire or a great organized religion. And they appear in a different way if I'm, right, a citizen, right, of the world, rational, right? If I'm an achiever, right, then my experience of God's completely different. So my experience of self, my experience of God, my experience of loyalty, my experience of devotion, those all are completely different at every level of consciousness. All this is the first tier. This is the first tier of reality in which I live primarily in one of those levels of consciousness, okay, or in two together. The huge jump is when I go to second tier. And when I go to second tier, what I realize is that actually, number one, for the first time, I can see the spiral. What I just described was the spiral. I can actually see the spiral for the first time. And you might be a person, even if we've talked about this before, you might see it anew, or you might be seeing it for the first time. You can actually see the 6 levels. When you can actually see the 6 levels for the first time, you've jumped to second tier. Wow. Number 2, you see that all 6 of these levels live in you. You have a magic side. You have a commitment to your tribe, whether it's your religion or you might be a gang member, or it's, this radical commitment to your particular community, right? It's a real commitment to your tribe, right? You're also an achiever. You might be part of a great religion, or you might also be green pluralistic, right? You want to be completely inclusive of everyone. You actually could have, right, all of the spiral, right? Actually, you can have it all live in you, and you become aware that it's all in you. So number 1, second tier, you can see the spiral. Number 2, it all lives in you. Okay, number 3, you can elegantly, as a Jedi Knight, if you will, right, as a knight of spirit, right, as an awakened, what we call Homo Amor, you can actually move between levels of the spiral. So you can access your business, rational achiever side, which is about universal human rights, and it's about your own achievement, and it's about production, right, and it's about rationality. But you can also access your magical side, right, which is purple, right, in your tribal sense. And sometimes you got to access beige, which is just raw survival. At other times, right, you might be deeply committed to, right, a world religion in a particular way, right? Or you might be deeply into, right, your green, Graves level 6, indigenous, pluralistic, right, a certain kind of sensitivity, right, a certain kind of inclusiveness, right? So actually they all live in you and you can move between them. Now we get to the point, okay? So when someone asks for support, right? Let's like, wow, become a member. Become a member means something particular, let's say at Blue, right? Become a member of the Catholic Church, but if you don't, you're burning in hell. Become a member of the Catholic Church because if you don't, you've got no way to heaven. Become a member of the Catholic Church because we have the only way. Right? So that's one kind of membership. Or become a member at Orange of a certain kind of conformist society. Right? At Orange, we conform. We go to Wall Street. We dress in a certain way. Right? I conform. Or at Green, I might conform to being a certain kind of hippie. Right? A certain kind of hippie, new agey kind of person. I'm conforming. Right? I'm actually adopting, I'm supporting, right, that particular way of being, but I don't even realize I'm doing it. I think I'm choosing, I'm not choosing at all. So I can become a member, or let's go deeper, and this is now we're getting to the point. I can be in devotion. I can be in devotion in a different way at every level of consciousness. We've exiled devotion. We've exiled loyalty. We've exiled sacrifice. We've exiled contribution. We think those are all Graves level 4. Those are all blue, right? Or at best, they're, orange. You're committed to your company in some way, right? But when we get to green, the classical liberal place, we let go of devotion. We let go of loyalty. We think loyalty is, that's a lower level of consciousness. Maybe that's purple, the mafia. I'm part of a magical tribe, mafia. Right? That's where loyalty belongs. That's a mafia virtue. Devotion is for those benighted old religious people who believe in those dogmas, right? That's not me. Sincerity, no, I'm not. I'm about creativity, not sincerity. Reverence, right? Reverence, that's also like blue, Graves level 4. No, that's all not true. All of those qualities live at every level of consciousness. And so we need to actually be devoted, but we need evolutionary devotion. We need commitment, but we need evolutionary commitment. We need loyalty, but we need evolutionary loyalty. We need love, but we need evolutionary love. Meaning I'm now second tier. And I'm actually experiencing that I'm waking up from Homo sapien to Homo Amor. Now, each one of these is a level of consciousness. My experience of waking up, my experience of feminine values, my experience of God, my experience of loyalty, my experience of devotion, right? My experience of sincerity, right? All of those experiences are all qualities of waking up. They're all mediated through the prism of growing up, which is my level of consciousness. And in this particular model, Graves level 1, beige, Graves level 2, purple, Graves level 3, red, Graves level 4, blue, Graves level 5, orange, Graves level 6, green. Right? That's all first tier. But then I jump to second tier. I can actually see the whole spiral. And I realize that I've got to wake up, and that waking up is going to be mediated through my level of consciousness. And I've got to actually synergize different dimensions of devotion and bring them all together at a higher level into evolutionary devotion. So yes, I give money. Right? Of course I do. That's why that parish is still going in Harlem. Because that parish in Harlem's got this level of consciousness which is blue. But here's the key. And here's the big, huge key. Drum roll, everyone. Here's the real key. I said 3 dimensions of second tier. Here's the 4th and the most important one. Second tier transcends and includes all the best qualities of all the previous levels. So I've got to take the best of blue and the best of red power and the best of orange achievement and the best of green pluralistic, right? And the best of purple, right? Loyalty to my family bloodline, magical. And the best of beige, raw survival. I've got to take the best of all those levels of consciousness, synergize them, integrate them into a new story, into a new level of consciousness, which is second tier. So I claim devotion, I claim contribution, I claim sacrifice, I claim commitment, together with autonomy and freedom, right, and personhood, right, and creativity. They live together at second tier. There's no way you can build one mountain, because one mountain's yours. One mountain's ours. There's no way we can build one mountain without contribution. Not going to happen. And if we think, when we start talking about contribution, that's antiquarian, right? That's regressive, right? That's the religions. That's not what we do. No, we come here and we be spiritual. No. No. We have no chance at this moment between dystopia and utopia. In this time between worlds, when we're holding the keys to the new source code, we're working day and night together to evolve the source code of culture and consciousness, we have zero chance of being successful unless we sacrifice, unless we are committed, and unless we're willing, right? Now, we all take a stand at the level it's comfort to us. It's never us. We're not on the line. That's the project. I support it from a distance. It doesn't really hurt me. It gives me something good and I'm okay. And I'm loving. But I never put myself on the line, right? It's theirs. I'm in support. I'm not on the line. That's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable being on the line. I don't want to sacrifice at that level. I don't want to be committed at that level. I don't want to be devoted at that level, right? I don't want to be loyal at that level. I don't want to be sincere at that level, right? That's too much. Well, that doesn't work, right? That is a recipe for failure, right? So our devotion, we're not devoted to the teacher, right? We're not devoted to the structure of a particular, mythic organization. We're devoted to the vessel of one mountain, right? That allows us, right, to accomplish our mission, right? And we got to be radically devoted, right? I'm radically devoted. Are you? Right? I'm radically loyal. Right? I want to be as sincere as I can be. Oh my God, I want to be totally sincere. I want to hold every single person here in reverence. I'm devoted, right, to every single person here. You're devoted. We're devoted, but we're devoted together to the larger vision. It's an evolutionary devotion, but it's not less real. It's not less radical than those people who kept the parish going in Harlem, even though this minister wasn't so good and that minister wasn't so good and there was this problem and that problem, but they actually showed up and they made contributions and they gave money, right? And they gave money at a level that it actually hurt, right? Actually, wow, I'm actually going to impact my life. I'm not going to make this sanitized convenient, right? None of us, we want to be comfortable. We don't, a guy named, I think his name was Todd Slater, talked about the toilet assumption of the Western world, right? Anything that's kind of like manure, right? Instead of letting it fertilize, we flush it down out of the way, right? We don't want in our face, right? We don't want the challenges in our face of what it takes to fertilize and grow the new world. But that's like, whoa, that's too much. We flush that away. We want to be comfortable. We want to be safe. We want to be, sanitized. But friends, that's not how it works. It's agony and ecstasy. It's wonder and radical amazement. Right? It's not just about my self-development. It's not just about where I am, right? There's only one question we ever have to answer. And I'll finish with this, with your permission, everyone. What does reality need from me at the next moment? Right? And what it needs from me is not just my next experience, and not just my next high, and not just my next state of consciousness, not just my next experience of waking up, not just my next devotion to a mythic god at the Graves Level 4 Blue as part of my local church or local synagogue. No, reality needs me to be in service to the field of evolution itself. And I'm animated by outrageous love. Outrageous love is evolutionary love. And I'm animated by evolutionary devotion, by evolutionary commitment, by evolutionary sacrifice, right? And none of that, right, obfuscates my freedom. But my freedom is not freedom to do whatever I want. It's not my life. It's not your life. Why do you think it's your life? It's not my life. Did you choose when to be born? Did you choose to whom to be born? Did you choose where to be born? Why would you think it's your life? Not my life. It's our life. It's our life together, right? You can't be sitting in a boat saying, I'm going to drill a hole under my part of the boat because it's my part of the boat. We're in this boat together. We need each other. And it's our life. And we're in service to the whole, right? Wow. And when we're in service to the whole, then we individuate in our unique self. Then we're fulfilled, right? Then our wake up is mediated through the highest possible stage of consciousness, a radical growing up as a unique self, participating in unique self symphony, omniconsiderate, madly in love, right? For the sake of the whole, right? Oh my God, right? Thank you, right? That's what we're trying to do, right? That's our goal. That's our vision. And that's why we ask for contribution. We ask for contribution, right? Because we have to include that level of loyalty and devotion that Graves Level 4 Blue knew, the utter commitment to the local parish. We got to be much more than that, but we can never be less than that.